What's up, you guys? Ross Athiad here in Singapore, and as always, thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. Tonight, we are continuing that list by Create the Love. So, the last couple of episodes, you've heard me talk about how we avoid our own healing, and it's a list that Create the Love actually wrote out in a post, but I don't think he actually explained them, so I thought I'd jump in here and explain all of them. Now, the first one was dating projects and how we think, this person complains and talks about how he's been traumatized, they don't get what they needed to be able to really succeed in life, and you figure, you know what, I could give that to them, I could deliver that. So, you date a project hoping that they can make their lives better, and in the meantime find that you're losing yourself because you're focusing on the person. Same thing again when you take responsibility for someone else's feelings. A lot of times we obsess about other people's feelings and how, we've hurt them somehow and we need to fix it, so we can't move forward until we fix the problem, which again is taking the focus off of us and onto them, trying to make sure that we are all that they ever need, make them happy all the time. But that's not always possible, because when we say yes to them, we're actually saying no to ourselves at the same time. Another one on the list that we've already covered is obsessing about how other people have messed us over, have done us wrong, have done us dirty, have hurt us on purpose. And I can't believe that, because at that point in time, you're only focusing on what they've done and how it affected you, and not at all thinking about what you might have done to be able to elicit that response or allowed for that thing to happen. Anywhere that you might have been able to draw a boundary, you're not making sure that you prevent this from ever happening again. You're focused on the action that's happened already, and it's again taken the attention off of you. The last one that we just spoke about was actually reading book after book in search of knowledge, but then not actually applying it in our own lives. And as much as we would like to think that absorbing the information actually fixes the problem, it doesn't. We really do need to apply, because not every theory out there is going to work for our specific problem or our specific situation. At some point, we're going to have to go through trial and error and find the theories we've learned about that actually apply to our situation, or worst come to worst, we may have to create a solution because the one that we specifically need does not yet exist. For instance, I had to quit my job and build a lifestyle working from home for myself, because the work-life balance that I wanted and the hours that I wanted and the kind of work that I wanted did not exist at the time. So I had to create my own solution. Okay, so those are just a couple of the things that were on the list, but I want to go ahead and talk about something else. Another one of these list ideas. You fall in love with potential and miss the red flags. I have talked about this in various forms before, and I want to talk about it one more again. Like, why not, right? A lot of times when we find someone that is attractive, before we actually meet them, like maybe we see them on a post or on TV or something, or we pass by them and this one chance interaction is just amazing and we've fallen in love with this person. We think they're amazing, right? We can't stop thinking about them. Everything about them seems perfect, but it just so happens that the more you interact with them, the more you learn who they are. Now, in the beginning, while you feel good around them, right? You're attracted first, you spend some time with them, you feel good around them, they still feel attractive to you. Okay, but the minute that they start treating you in such a way where you don't feel so great, that attraction slowly kind of dissipates over time. Now, it takes a very long time for us to completely give up on these people, because in between there will be really great encounters, there'll be really great memories that we create for each other. But a lot of times we fall in love with the potential of this person because they maybe hold a couple of characteristics that you've never encountered before. A couple of dream encounters, right? For some of you, maybe an example would help best. I had never had a boyfriend before, and when I met the guy that I was with when I was in college, he seemed to be interested in me, which was a big deal because no one was ever interested in me before that. He was quite intellectual. He was a business major. I was a psych major. We seemed to get along for the most part. He was an athlete. I wanted to be an athlete, but more than that, I ended up working a lot. So it worked. The way that we shared time worked fairly well, I thought. In the beginning, he used to call me all the time. He used to talk to me all the time, but there were a couple of things in there that were red flags that I glossed over because I was so enamored by him that I missed the red flags, or I saw them and decided, okay, that's a once in a while encounter, that's not going to happen ever again. So I didn't feel the need to put my foot down or stop the behavior from happening ever again, because I didn't think that they would. But eventually what ended up happening was I started to see him for who he truly was. I truly believe that people can come up and put a great facade when they first meet you. They put their best foot forward. They love that blank slate attitude when you first meet somebody, first start dating them, because you don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about you, so the sky's the limit. Anything can happen. It could be perfect, right? But little by little, they can't keep up appearances anymore. Eventually they will become who they actually are. They don't try as hard to cover up their habits. They don't try as hard to be polite all the time or be clean and well pressed all the time. They're going to become their most comfortable selves, and when they come into that comfort zone, it seems like all of a sudden all you see are red flags, because at the time when you had a chance to shut it down, you didn't. You glossed it over because you thought this was a great match and you did not want to lose the connection in case this was the best that you could ever do. That being said, I know very well what it's like to fall in love with the potential of somebody. They could be better than I've ever met before. Why? Because my experience pool is zero. And so the first person that I met, I thought, oh my gosh, this could be so great because he's not like my father. He's not like my brothers. He's not like any other man in my family that I've encountered before because he thinks differently from us. He's not from my culture. And so that possibility seems so provocative and so, I don't know, intoxicating that you really, really hope for the best. Now, unfortunately, a lot of us gloss over red flags, and it's because we really don't want to start all over again. The process of starting all over again seems like a lot of work, and so we have to introduce ourselves again and share with the new person all of the things that we've been through. And who wants to go through that, honestly, right? We'd love to be able to just send it to someone and get them to download it so they can understand what the heck we've been through, and we start from there. But that's not the process of building intimacy. So rather than quit and start from scratch or set a boundary and have them be offended by it so they might leave us, we try to protect the connection no matter what, because there's so much more that we see that's full of potential than we do that causes us concern about the connection, whether it's genuine or not, whether it has what it takes to stand the test of time. We're still in that mindset of this is a race and not a marathon. A real relationship, a friendship even, has to stand the test of time, which means you really need to look forward and understand what it's like to disagree with this person. How do they handle conflict? How do they handle a difference in opinion? How do they handle different ways of doing things? Because those mean a lot in the long term. Right? It's not good enough for us to pretend like there is no conflict here. Let me just go along with what they want because it's the easier thing to do. But in that regard, we're still glossing over the fact that there are red flags. So as much as I would love to think that falling in love with potential is great, we need to make sure that we address the red flags as they pop up. Or once again, we're falling into our own old habits and avoiding healing for ourselves because we've never maybe set boundaries before, and feeling afraid to set a boundary because you may lose somebody is maybe part of your trauma, your background, some of that pain that you're trying to heal from. But unfortunately, what's the thing with experience? The only way to override old experience is with new experience. So if you've never set a boundary before and you're scared to set a boundary now because maybe you'll lose the person, unfortunately, the best thing you can do is set the boundary and let the chips fall where they may so you can see what kind of person this is. Is this the kind of person who's going to stand the test of time? Is this the kind of person who's going to put the relationship in front of everything else because that's what you're doing? Are they going to prioritize you because they love the connection so much, just like you're doing? Or are they going to do what's best for them and suddenly you're catering to everything that they need instead of taking care of yourself as well, or even allowing them to take care of you because you don't feel the space or the safety to be able to open up and ask for what you need when you need it? So this is just another example of how sometimes we avoid our own healing by falling in love with potential and actually missing the red flags. And that is a conscious decision. We know what a red flag looks like because it feels bad right in that moment. We feel uncomfortable. We feel nervous. We feel scared all of a sudden. We feel anger immediately. And when that happens, what do? We explain to ourselves that this is a one-time thing, that it's not going to always happen. Oh no, that was just a bad moment. They were having a tough time. We give them all the excuses and all the benefits of the doubt, only to find that we didn't set the boundary then so that they know not to disrespect us. And when we didn't do that, we allowed them to think it was okay to behave that way. So, as always, I'm encouraging all of your comments, concerns, questions. I want to know what you think. But in the meantime, you guys, please prioritize your healing as much as you want to help the world and love the world and share all of that goodness that you have inside of you, and you want to treat people like you want to be treated. That's great. Don't change. But make sure you take care of you at the same time, yeah? All the best, and I will catch you again in the next episode. Thanks.